the Abscondo Podcast. No matter what side you're on these days, whether you basically trust and believe the mainstream media and, the accepted narrative of things, or whether you follow so-called conspiracy theories, we all have one thing in common right now, and that is that we're all waiting for the future. Some of us are waiting for the coronavirus numbers to go down so that we can open up the economy and stop hopefully wearing masks and have some normalcy or some ability to travel and do normal things, go to restaurants and meet people and have parties and go to clubs and endless things, sporting events and so forth. And we're waiting for the future to be able to do that, or some people are. And others have been following conspiracy theories, whether it's about coronavirus or about, the global power and the presidential election and all that happened since then. And we're also waiting for the future because we're waiting for some magical day when justice prevails and the world is right. And in this way, very few people are living in the present moment. We're actually not living our lives we're meant to live. We're getting older. So I want to talk about how can we live our lives, be our best selves in this situation. And this is a profound question, I think. It's one of the most, what an opportunity for awakening, And there's been a lot of talk about the Great Awakening, and yet, as though it's some kind of future event that when the world sees the truth, they're going to all awaken. Well, that's not really awakening. That's just opening your eyes to what's happening and having to deal with it, So I don't think that's awakening. And I don't even know if it's possible that you could get the world to agree on good and evil and all agree on this and see things in the real way. I think the world has always been under the control of dark forces, filled with beautiful people like you and I, who have to make the best out of it. And so if we're asking, how do we get to a better place, which is what everybody wants, I hope. I mean, there are some people who actually probably like wearing masks and like staying home and like that everyone else is doing that too. That's fine. I don't have any consideration for what to say to that person because that's death. You're choosing death. And the interesting thing is anyone who's waiting for the future to start living is choosing death now. It sounds harsh, but I know that it's true. You know that when you sit around worrying about the future, what's going to happen, you wait for the future. I can't wait for that to happen. Hopefully, if this and this and this goes just right, and then right away you worry that it's not going to go just right, and then you find out that it doesn't go just right. Why? Because we can't predict the future. It's kind of basic common sense, right? Nobody can predict the future. And every time we try, we are attempting to believe in magic. We're attempting to violate the laws of nature because reality is too complex. And our minds are not supercomputers, right? They're not these quantum computers, and even quantum computers are not complex enough to understand reality and to predict the future, even though they've been trying to do that and they've been wrong. So let's be humbled. I don't care what your religious faith or whether you're agnostic or atheist, we all have to agree that waiting for the future sucks and predicting the future is impossible. Now, once in a while, you might get something right, and that's just a fair amount of luck involved, right? So again, how do we cope? Because I know, and I've known this, this is obviously common knowledge, and I've tried to live this way even during coronavirus. I just chalked it up to the world being insane, and I took walks every day with my son in a stroller, my 2-year-old. We walked around town, looked at the trees, played in the park, did whatever we could, and went to nature a lot. And then in the summer, we went camping all the time, and we got outside all the time, and tried to make the simple things in life. No, not try to. We fully enjoyed the simple things about life: cooking good food, being with someone you love, watching your children play, listening to your music and watching your movies and things like this. Although that's gotten more difficult too, because all the content is about the other world that is gone. So I don't even know what to watch anymore. And I think we're in the situation where it sounds nice for someone like me to say, stop thinking about the future, stop, reading the news and scrolling your social media and trying to argue something and trying to fight for something. Just stop it, because we don't know what else to do, right? It's the middle of the winter in half the world, and all the content on Netflix is kind of outdated and irrelevant right now. And we can't go to restaurants or go shopping. And even going outside is not that much fun because of the weather and because of masks. And I'm not whining. I'm just saying this is the reality. Let's be honest. This is where we live right now. And so most people, I think, have fallen into this state of existence where we're just laying around and we're not taking care of ourselves. We're not feeling good inside. We're feeling a lot of anxiety, a lot of frustration. And we're taking that out on other people, projecting that out onto other people and onto events in the world. And we're all waiting for some magical time when everything's going to be okay. But when is the world ever okay? When has it ever been that way? Ever since the dawn of civilization, thousands of years ago. There's been evil forces of oppression, and there's been great people speaking the truth, resisting it, enjoying their simple lives, farming the land, and doing whatever we do for a living. So if you're going to ask me, what do we do to cope? Well, we do something. Anything. I play guitar. I write songs. And sometimes, I haven't played for a day or two. And I think, well, I should probably play some guitar. I'll lose my skills, whatever few skills I have on guitar. And I don't feel like it. I feel kind of tired or whatever. I feel lazy. But you know what? As soon as I pick up the guitar, the first song, okay, you kind of get going. The second song, and at some point, you get energy from it. So I feel like myself again. I hear my voice. I hear the sound in the room. I look out the window. I see some birds. I feel the sunshine coming through the window. And I start to feel the clouds parting for me. And, but at the beginning, I didn't feel like it. And that's how a lot of things are. How often have you wanted to, or, a friend asks you, do you want to meet on Friday night or something? And you're like, I'll be tired. I don't feel like it. Or you're waiting and you just can't imagine going out to meet that person. You're tired. It's been a long week. And sometimes it's just a non-starter. You're just that tired. But sometimes you go and it's great, So first tip, I'm not here to, tip is kind of a funny word, but, do things. Brilliant. Boy, I should charge for this advice. Do something. Work is a great thing to do, because when you can focus on your work, whatever your profession is, or whatever you're trying to create as a hobby, maybe a dream, maybe build a new business you've always imagined, and you focus your attention on doing it, and you forget about the fact that the world sucks right now. The outside world, the external events, the lies, the people who don't agree with you, the stupid people out there, right? Whatever side you're on, you think their side's stupid. But we're all in the same boat. We're all trying to be happy. We're all trying to feel good. We're all trying to live a life where we have joy and love and health without fear, right? So, where do we give our attention? And I've fallen off course as much as anyone else. Maybe people have it worse. I don't know. But I have spent some days where I can barely take my attention off from, the information, the scrolls of discussion forums and things like this, and social media and things like this. And it takes you to the future. It takes you into hoping and trying to predict the future. So whenever you find yourself trying to predict the future, I think that we can, probably a good tip is to say, whoa, the future? What's that, right? Because the only way the future can be better is if the now is better. So if you imagine like you're going to be better off and happier in the future, what that means is that at some point between now and then, you're going to change something now. Okay? You imagine yourself meeting that right person in the future. You imagine yourself breaking a bad habit in the future. You imagine yourself making more money in the future. Well, that's not going to happen unless at some point, there is an instant where you do it, or you start doing it and continue doing it. So when you shift your perspective away from the time spectrum, I used to be this, I used to have this job, I used to have this position in society, I used to have that kind of house, and now I'm here. Well, now you're living in the past, which is just as harmful, defining your present moment through your past and what you've lost or what you should have been or what you were or what someone said you are. And the trap of the future, we talked about quite a bit here, and also in yesterday's podcast. And so, I think we can pay attention to what's happening in the world. I think you have to. I think you have to be somewhat educated, basically, about what's happening. And that doesn't mean you have to spend time watching the news. It could be just every so often, you pick up something here and there, and you kind of, and if you're curious, you enjoy it, you kind of follow that trail, and you find out what is happening. And that's the key point. What is happening? You might make up your mind about a past event. You might research what happened with 9/11. Why did that happen? Who did that? It might be very interesting, But the problem is you can't get emotionally invested in external events. So as we're talking about past and future, you can't really separate that concept from the notion of external world or external events, things happening, situations in the world. Now, as soon as you go there, you go into what all the great spiritual philosophies or religions teach, which is you're building your house on a foundation of sand, because the world is always changing. Circumstances are always changing. Just as soon as you think you have everything you want, something changes. Something else comes your way. New situations in the world arise. There can be loss in your family. There can be terrible things that happen, or there can be great things that happen. And if you're going to let those things define your happiness, well, then that's all it is. It's happiness. And happiness is fleeting. Happiness is in a bottle of wine. And then the flip side of that is the downside. You crash. It's up and down. And that's life within the ego. That's what it is. That's the normal state of being. That's the unconscious, the spiritually unconscious state of being, the unawakened state of being. And what I'm talking about here is the only way for you to have lasting happiness, which is otherwise known as joy. Joy is defined as happiness that doesn't go away. So you don't have the ups and downs. You just, you're once in a while you're pulled away from it a little bit. You let something creep in that shouldn't be there, or maybe you react to a situation, but then your resting position is back to joy. And the only way that's possible is a commitment to live in the present moment. Well, there's several ways that you get there. You have to be able to look at the truth and speak the truth. You cannot conform to the world around you. You cannot just take whatever opinion is convenient and say whatever you're supposed to say, because now you're just flying up and down and everywhere, and your life means nothing. You're just agreeing with what the world's telling you to say. You're just an actor, and that's not it. That's not spiritual awakening, of course not. And you also have to be loving, because if you're going to be angry with everybody and trying to argue with everybody and be right and insult people and blame people and shame them and call them guilty and want them punished, now you're trying to find your happiness through an external event, getting justice for the evildoers, for someone who is perceived to harm you. And even when you get it, it doesn't really satisfy for more than a minute. It's not worth it. And all the while you're consumed. And I think this is what's happening to a lot of people who are following Trump, that I shouldn't say we, because I'm not one of them, that I feel this way. I don't feel a lot of hatred toward the other side. And I know I believe that there's been some horrendous human rights abuses. And yet I cannot get wrapped up and consumed in the idea of punishing them because it has nothing to do with me. What I can do is speak the truth about it, shine some light on it. That's my power. That's all that I have. That's all that I can do now, in this moment that I have. But if I'm going to sit here and try to pretend and try to hope for a future event and try to figure out what's going to happen, I have no power over that future event. If I want more power in the world, I should, now start getting involved in in organizations and movements that have some power in the world, if that even is a thing. If power can be had in this world, I don't think it can, because everything is shifting. So even those people are it's all futile. They're not happy. They're not living in joy. Even the ones who are quadrillionaires or billionaires or trillionaires, whatever. Do you think they're happy trying to manage that situation, that life situation, and do those terrible things to good people? Absolutely not. They don't even know what happiness is. Maybe a little bit of happiness here and there. They don't know what joy is. They're lost souls, and I don't need to punish them. I don't need to hope for them to be punished. They're already punished by how they're living. So you're free from that. You don't have to carry that burden. Our job here is to be alive now, to live our lives now, to create something now, do something, create something, follow a passion, experience a friendship, live out a fantasy. And there's still a lot of things you can do even without the commercial economy being open. I don't think too many of us fantasize about going to a certain restaurant. Fine, that's one thing you can't do right now. But is there anything deeper, anything more profound, anything more exciting that you can imagine having to do with other people, having to do with some kind of new sport or new hobby or art form that you want to pick up? Do you want to start a new business, online business? Do you want to start a new podcast? Do you want to just transform your life and break free? And if you do, that is happy. That is joy and liberation and freedom. And that's entirely yours right now. Right? And then if something happens in the world that's good, thank God, it's, enjoy it now when it happens, but don't wait for it. They're paralyzing us, both sides. Institutions could give a damn about anybody. They're not there to serve you. That's just the way it is. A group of people with their own structure working together for their own purpose. Sometimes they add some value. They create a product we like, or they create some kind of, order in society or whatever. But they're not going to deliver you freedom or happiness or joy. Right? So what are we waiting for? And same thing with fear. Even if the worst fear comes true, no, of course, I wouldn't let anyone touch my body who doesn't have a right to do so, or inject me with anything, or I want the right to decide what goes into my mind and my body. And if they try to take that freedom away, well, then I guess, go ahead. And if they want to kill us, then I guess they're going to have to kill us. And we're going to have to find out what the afterlife is all about, right? We have to just accept that that's the reality. But it's not going to do any good to spend our time here in this life, our brief time in this life, worrying about what might happen in the future. If it happens, it happens. Okay? If we speak the truth, we diminish the possibility of it happening. If we share the light, if we carry this kind of message to people and help awaken others around us, if we love people, if we love our children, if we tell them we love them, if we show them love, that's all they need from us. Well, plus a lot of food and a bunch of other gadgets and things like that, right? No one's put you in prison. It's your own mind. If that happens, it's your own mind that puts you in prison with this paralysis of the future. I'll leave it at that. going to leave you with another song, another Abscondo song today, and this is a song I did with my band. I had a 4-piece band back, about 6 or 7 years ago. We did this song, and it's called, very appropriately for this topic, I think, it's called I'll Die Smiling.
Out of place, some street in London's left me out of place. I looked right at you, did you see my face? Seems all of London's going separate ways, so I'll go mine. To New York, the sky above me as I walk its floor. The lights attack me, but I'll just ignore. Seems like New York's becoming such a bore, a waste of time. But time is still the question. What you gonna do? Infinite directions. You've gotta choose a few. So I sought some sunset cities, and I've seen some semblance of the truth. Yeah, I've walked so many journeys that I wore these scuffed up shoes. Now I'll die smiling, 'cause I'll die trying. Deep in love, a heart that's beating should be deep in love. She looks right at me as we float above. We seem so silent, we face questions and these two lies.